Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of my Immigrant Diary, the space where we unpack the journeys, the struggles, and the headlines that defines the immigrant experience. My name is Precious, and as always, I have with me Wale. Buddy, how you doing, Wale?
Good to see you, my brother.
Nice.
Early, happy Independence Day.
Yes, Independence is just around the corner. And to be candid with you, I like the holiday.
Yeah, it's
I like the holiday that comes
always
with
a
it.
fun holiday.
Yeah, I like the holiday that comes with it because Friday is holiday, which is July 3rd, and so we get to kind of experience, a day of work and just have fun. So, although it's hot, man, there's a heat wave right now on this side of the country, getting up to 100, 103, 105. It's just ridiculously hot, Wally, like ridiculously hot. But we're alive compared to Europe.
That means you have a lot of room for fireworks tomorrow.
Yeah, interestingly, the firework has been going on since like on July 2nd. So it's kind of interesting to see. I didn't know that people said, putting out fireworks since the July the 2nd. So looking forward to going to see some fireworks actually. So yeah. How about you?
I didn't know that quite a lot of companies actually give like a day off before the holiday. Of course, I've experienced it before, but I didn't know that it was on a much wider scale. So for me,
exactly,
going out today and seeing that a lot of places were just quiet, I'm like wondering what's going on. And I spoke with someone who informed me that like most organizations actually give the workers a day off before the holidays. I'm like, oh well, that's pretty good.
Let's just get right into it. We got a lot of stories we want to talk about. So I'm just going to start with the first one, which is the US Supreme Court has handed down a massive historic decision on birthright citizenship. In a resulting 5-4 ruling, they voted to uphold it. Good news for millions and millions of families who have naturalized to become US citizens. What do you think?
Yes, it's fantastic news. If you're not following the case, I'll just catch you up quickly. The argument from the Trump administration is that if you here either illegally or you're here temporarily, like on a visitor visa, the 14th Amendment does not apply to you. And what the 14th Amendment is basically saying that if you are born here, because you are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, you are a United States citizen. The Trump administration was arguing that because you are a temporary visitor or you are illegal, the country, you are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. And so they wanted citizenship to only apply to those who are born to either permanent residents or those who are already Americans. And the argument from the majority of the Supreme Court is that if you are here either illegally or you are here temporarily, if you commit a crime, you're going to be jailed. So you are definitely subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is also that there was a case. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I recommend that you go and look it up. But there was a case during the slavery period where the Supreme Court actually ruled that you have to be a citizen, you have to be born to an American before you are a citizen. And that at the time, the slaves did not have any nation. And so the Supreme Court is using that as a premise. Actually, because of that is the reason why the 14th Amendment exists today, because the slaves then did not have any place to call a nation. Then the 14th Amendment was created, and now they could now become a citizens of the United States by the fact that they were born in the United States. So that's the history. But now that the 14th Amendment has been existing for so long, the court simply upheld the reason or the spirit of the 14th Amendment that if you're born in the United States, then you are a citizen of the United States. So that's kind of like the technical aspect of it. Again, I'm not a lawyer. Please seek out a lawyer or do your own research to understand why the court ruled the way it did. But like you said, it was a 5-4 split, which was something I personally wasn't expecting. I was expecting it to be something like maybe a 7-2 or 8-1 or something like that. But it shows you that there are definitely people in the United States who do feel that being born in the United States does not automatically grant citizenship, even up to the Supreme Court level.
Well, yeah, that's very interesting because I was reading the article and I recognized the fact that it could have gone either way, just for the sake of the conversation, right? If a 5-4 split is so close, if one person had been on the other side, then this would be a different discussion we'll be having. But I would say for many families and many future families, this is good news. All right. So now why the ruling, bring relief, right? Our next story shows the dark side of what happens when people let desperation cloud their judgment. First off, federal authorities just blew the lid off a massive H-1B visa fraud ring in India. They seized over 100,000 fake degree certificates. Wally, 100,000 fake degree certificate, all for H-1B visa benefit. Let's discuss the impact of this.
It almost seems like it's a real business. Like if it's that much, that a lot of people are making tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions from this, that you don't have to be qualified or you don't have to have any sort of qualification. And all you need is to know this company can help you get to the United States of America via H-1B. That number for me is I can't believe it.
Well, it is ridiculous. This is, you put it in context, 100,000 is a lot. H-1B visa annually only gives out what, if you remember, it was like 60,000, something like that.
I think 80,000.
80,000, about that number. No, 60,000 and 20,000 for more advanced degrees. So about 80,000.
Yeah.
So just to think of the fact that people are forging over 100. This is the one that this is a number that have been caught.
Exactly.
So just to think about it, I feel sad for the genuine, hardworking, professionals who are doing the right thing, putting in the application the right way, earning their degrees, getting a profession and pursuing, the H-1B visa. There are way over 100,000 fraudulent applications with advanced degree, because that's what this means. People are forging advanced degrees with skills required to fall into the bracket for H-1B visa, which is really sad. It's really sad because, like I mentioned, the hardworking individuals, it's just so painful to think about it, because I know people who are in this category who have done everything by the books and who have not been able to, attain the benefit. So just to think the fact that, and I'm glad also that, the authorities were able to clap down on this. But I can guarantee you that this is just the tip of the iceberg, because there's a lot going on that we don't know until maybe, the authorities, catches and exposes it. But it's really sad, honest.
Yeah, we covered this. So a story that sort of talked about it. The woman in the video that was talking about how basically people in government were recommending that everyone should be approved. It doesn't matter who it is, just make sure that you approve people for this process. So it just give an exclamation mark on this. Is a lot of people are just involved, and this smells of so much corruption. And my hope is that like people on both sides, both folks on the Indian government will clamp down on this and make sure that those who are genuinely qualified for the roles do apply, because it ultimately helps and promotes the relationship between countries.
It's interesting you said it, put it like that. I was just thinking about the population. The population of India, I feel sorry for the government in a way. Think about it. How do you manage what? A billion and a half or 2 billion people, something like that, about that number? I don't even know what's the number again. I know it's like maybe 2 billion, or is that China? I know India is the second most populous nation in the world.
1.47 billion.
1.4 exactly. So 1.4 billion people. Like, how does the government manage that? Like, how do you manage that? That begs the question. How do you guarantee what comes out of India with a population like that?
It's very, very difficult to manage.
How do you guarantee? You can't guarantee. You can't. Just so many people. So it's a really difficult position. I mean, for the US authorities to be able to figure out that people are not coming here with, fraudulent degrees and all that. And, we talked about it also. There was a woman who exposed some of these kind of situations where people are, coming into the US with expertise that they are not, because they're able to print out degrees, and now we're seeing that the authorities are clamping down on it. That's 100,000 from a country of 1.4 billion, so what number of people are applying, what number of people are putting forth, request or applying for the benefits compared to the number that have been found. Do you get what I'm saying? 100,000 is nothing compared to, the number of people from that part of the world, from India, that are applying. So, like I said, I feel sorry for the genuine people who are doing it the right way and trying to get through the door. But if we think that fake degree is even the worst in terms of people applying for H-1B benefits, look at what Homeland Security and ICE just uncovered. A woman actually, and this is so sad, a woman actually tried to fraudulently hand over a newborn baby to another person in a bid to secure immigration benefit or bypass legal custody channel. For me personally, this is heartbreaking. So when you look at the lane people go to the point that someone is trying to pass off a newborn baby, it just shows how people can be so desperate to attain immigration benefits. I think this is just crazy.
It's so sad. I don't know what to say. I don't know how you get to that point in life that you willingly want to part with your child, especially when it comes to a situation where you are not even sure how the child is going to end up. Because if I understand, when I read the story, I understand that both of them are undocumented, and it means that, like, even if you give up your child, you don't know if the child is going to a good family or a bad family or anything like that. It obviously shows that the person that gave up a child, she's in desperate need of financial support. Unfortunately, this is something that she now has to pay for. She tried to give up a child. Now she'll go to jail, and she's not going to get the money. She's not getting the money. She's going to lose a child. So it's just sad on so many levels that this story came out. And for me, I mean, even the person that wanted a child, I'm thinking, why would you want a child like that? What's your motive for going for babies like that? And it's really scary to read this kind of story.
Well, it is heartbreaking. I would even like to read the story. ICE recently arrested a Mexican illegal immigrant on May 11 of 2026 in St. Louis, right? And they arrested her because she was trying to pass a newborn baby to another illegal alien because of a debt to smugglers. Basically, they smuggled her into the country and she didn't have the means to pay them, and so she handed over her baby. Her name is Maria Hernandez, a 28-year-old Mexican illegal alien who used the false name to register at St. Louis St. Joseph Hospital in Lake St. Louis before giving birth to a newborn baby on January 2024. She gave her hospital ID wristband to another illegal immigrant to allow the woman falsely claim to be the baby's biological mother, all because of a debt to a smuggler. Well, this is just heartbreaking. Like,
thinking, what would the
what would they do with the
baby? I mean, that means that there's also a serious market for babies, and it's scary to think about.
No, it is real. Yeah, in America, it is real. Kids get kidnapped. The stories all over the news about people. Don't you get those? I don't know if you get it in Washington, in Maryland. From time to time, we get those a lot where kids are being kidnapped with, maybe cars are stolen with kids inside, and there's this, what's it called? This alert that goes around, hits everyone's phone and tells you the license plate.
The Amber Alert. We get it here too in Washington, but usually when I read into the story, not usually, all of them is someone, either one of the parents that does not have a legal authority
to take the child.
They possibly take the child, and that's considered kidnapping. So that's something that usually happens in Washington.
Yeah, that's the case. I mean, that case is real. Yeah, you're right. That happens, but kids get kidnapped. I've seen it on documentaries on TV, on the news about kids that have been kidnapped in the US, and sometimes there are some that have been found many years later, very, compared to the ones that were never found. I mean, there are so many families that never got closure. It's just, so these things happen around the world. It's not just even, in the US actually, but
kidnapping is just.
But that's different. This is somebody handing over their child. Exactly. So this is even different. Yeah, this is even different. This is disheartening because someone hands over their own child.
But if she is doing it, for me, it tells me that that's not the first time they are doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, obviously. This is what people are looking for, shortcuts to, to immigration benefits, or to be able to, cross the border and get into the US and all that. So I think that's where this stems from. But anyway, speaking of shortcuts, right, let's talk about the legal route, right, which is becoming an incredibly expensive gamble. New data shows that Nigerians have spent over 50 billion naira on US visa application alone. And this is happening right as approval rates are steadily declining. The ridiculous thing about this, Wale, is the fact that people keep applying for this visa, even though Nigeria is among the 36 or 39 countries on the ban list where US visas will not be issued, and people keep applying for these visas in Nigeria.
If you read the story, this is not even during the Trump administration. This is from 2023 to 2024. So
Can you imagine how much you spent so
and
far? So the most
now
common
it's
data.
definitely with inflation and everything, now that amount would have skyrocketed by a good percentage. So that's one. But even because I think historically, like Nigerians have always had like a good relationship. Nigeria as a country has always had a good relationship with the United States in general. And so you have this situation where from you have students coming to the United States, you have families, even so a lot of Nigerians are already here. They are, and then they still have some family back home. So you have a lot of reasons for traveling back and forth. Sometimes it's for business, sometimes for family, sometimes for education. So I'm not surprised that Nigerians will continue to apply for visas, but it's something that this is the relationship between both countries, something that I hope will improve really. Because again, we have a long-standing relationship, special relationship with the United States.
Yeah, I mean, I get you, but I can't understand, why people would go and do that. And this is me saying, if you know that there's a publication about ban, please take the ban seriously. Don't keep applying for a visa that you will not get.
Yeah.
It's not a system. The American system it's like plus and minus. It's what it is. There's no, for most cases, there are no middle ground. It is what it is. So this is my advice to my Nigerian brothers and sisters. Stop throwing money to the US embassy that you will never get back, and you're most likely going to be denied. And I think the crazy thing is just that 2-3% of people that get the approval, right? That makes people think I might just be in that number. And for whatever ridiculous craziness, people keep trying to fit that, that might just be in that small number. I think it's crazy that
Yeah.
people do that, but it's the reality. I'm saying this, but
Yes,
yeah.
so it's unfortunate, but like I said, I think one of the good things, qualities about Nigerians is that we're very resilient, we're very determined. We do pursue things that we think is going to be beneficial for us and our family, and that's something that I think in this case is not working well. It's not working well with us because we have faith that once we put our effort in this thing, there will be some good results. So, but I think that like Precious says, I think it makes sense to pay careful attention to the ban.
Finally, let's look north to Canada. Canada has officially suspended processing immigration and travel documents for residents of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, and South Sudan. This isn't due to politics, right? It's over the growing Ebola fear. If you've been following the news, you know what's happening with the current Ebola fear and concerns. And for this reason, the Canadian government suspended visa application and processing for people from those regions. And it's ridiculous. And it's funny how, it's not, I don't say funny, it's interesting to see how certain situation, which can become a global pandemic, I can understand that. And I can understand the Canadian government. I can understand the position. I can understand why they decided to go this route. But interestingly how, all these things, one thing can impact other people who might be trying to move, who maybe have gotten admission to Canada, who are waiting for visa application, for different reasons. People are trying to travel to go see family members, who would now not be able to do that
The
because of
FIFA
the
World
situation.
Cup also.
FIFA World Cup. Congo is in the FIFA World Cup.
Yeah.
Was or is. They're out of FIFA World Cup, I would say.
Yeah,
they're out right now. So
out today. I think
they got knocked out. Yeah, just a day or two ago. So reality, man.
Yeah, so it's really challenging. I remember when, I'm not sure the last time we had an Ebola outbreak in West Africa.
Oh, I remember. Wally, I have a personal story.
Yes, I'm not sure if I was in Lagos at the time, but it was really, really scary for most people for a lot, because again with Ebola, I think in like a week or so you are dead. That's it, and it's one of the most deadly diseases ever that has occurred in I would say in general in Africa. There are a lot of other deadly diseases, but some take a lot longer. Some maybe you can deal with them if you have a good immune system or if you're healthy. But Ebola does not work like that. Ebola, once you are not able to take some sort of something. I'm not sure if they have a vaccine for Ebola yet, but once you're not able to take it within a couple of days, the infection really spreads throughout your body. And the issue is that now people that have to deal with you to lay you to rest are also highly exposed. And that's how the virus can spread so easily. So once it's discovered, a lot of government will quarantine that person as much as possible, a group of people, quarantine them as much as possible, as soon as possible. And usually they don't bury the body, they just burn the body because again it's very highly contagious.
Yes, Wale, it is. And I remember my experience with the Ebola, scare. I went to just around the time when Ebola broke out and it was being contained and controlled. I remember traveling to Liberia and I remember the concern of, whether to travel to Liberia at that time. And I was going there for a conference. The contacts in Liberia, like, there's nothing to worry. It's just the news, Ebola is in a remote region, not anywhere near the city, and it has been contained and all that. So we went to Liberia and, it was exactly as we were told. It's not in the city. People are living their life and nothing. Fast forward to after I came back to Lagos, and every time people heard I went to Liberia, people ran away from me. I'm like,
oh my God. I'm sorry, I'm
dude,
laughing.
Just because I went to Liberia doesn't mean I have Ebola. People ran away. Like, it was so ridiculous. Honestly, I was told not to come I was told not to come to the office. I was told not to come to, social gathering, religious gathering. I was told to just stay away. Just because I went to Liberia, but I understand people's concern, I understand people's fear, even with what happened with the COVID-19 and so now that, now we know better, right? So yeah, Wally, you're still laughing.
I don't think we'll know better. Honestly, I think if it happens again today, if you're in the same exact situation today, people will still react the same way because again, people are very, very afraid of Ebola. Nobody wants to
especially with COVID-19, with what we learned, I can guarantee you. People will be more, afraid right now. But anyways, thank you for staying tuned with us. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and just, following our channel. Thank you so much. We're very excited and grateful that you're here with us. Stay tuned as we're going to bring you more exciting content about and around immigration.
To see you in the next one. Thank you so much.